And today's topic says the danger of falling in love too fast. And I want to remind you that this webinar is part of our 50th anniversary at Peace Over Violence, building healthy relationships, families, and communities free from sexual, domestic, and interpersonal violence. We are an organization committed to social service, social change, and social justice. And we are also a trauma recovery center. We have been mentioning at the beginning of every session that we have 5 areas that we have divided into which we have divided our services: emergency, intervention, prevention, education, and advocacy. We already talked about the emergency services, intervention services, and today we are introducing to you our prevention services.
So here on the screen, you'll see a list of different services under our prevention umbrella. And some of them to mention are our In Touch with Teens programming, Teen Dating Violence and Healthy Relationships, Youth Over Violence Summer Institute, Stop Clubs, Be Strong, My Strength. And all of these programs listed in this slide as well indicate work to help prevent violence. And so they help with the education piece as well. So we also have high-risk youth and gang prevention services, Start Strong, Stay Strong middle school prevention, child sexual abuse prevention, education mobilization, self-defense, safety and security awareness, Engaging Men Over Violence project as well. And this is only a list. So if you are interested in more information, please visit our website to get more details.
Of course. So thank you for being here. Francis is our one of our clinical interns, as well as Helen. Thank you, Helen, for monitoring the chat. So if you have any questions or you want to let us know something, put it in the chat. Okay, questions is through our Q&A, and you are able to place your questions there as well. And let's recap, because this is important for our topic today, the danger of falling in love too fast. Let's recap what we said last week. Last week, we talked about the wounded child. When we have an adverse experience in childhood, or we have an attachment problem. If you want to know more about attachment, this is one of the topics that we're going to be presenting next week, okay? Here, the wounded child. And this is the key issue here, because as adults, if we don't resolve our traumas or adverse experiences, we don't process them the right way, we are trapped in this dynamic. We are feeling with our wounded child, so feeling abandoned, the fear of rejection, for example, that need to belong, you know, and we are reacting to life with the adopted child. And the adopted child is not a wounded child, it's the part of us that developed in childhood to protect the wounded child, because the wounded child is too vulnerable. So that this adopted child is usually a perfectionist, harsh, unforgiving. Why? Because it's a protector. It's not because it's bad, but it's a protector. That inner critic that sometimes we feel inside, right? Because for many people, the inner critic is the worst critic of all in our lives. So who is that inner critic? Is this part that has been developing along with us to protect us, to protect that part of us that is the wounded child. So it has to be harsh, it has to be strong, it has to be smart in the way that we fight, or we flight, or we just submit. This is the way that the protected part of us deal with situations, okay? So if we are trapped in this dynamic, what happens is that we're gonna tend to form insecure bonding. Now, the difference here is when we become aware. As I said, awareness is painful because we realize that we being in a painful dynamic, and we start questioning our past decisions, the past circumstances, past situations, right? I could have done better if I would have known this, right? Um, but painful in this sense, it could be a catharsis, something that will move us to move forward, to inspire us to move forward. And when that happens, we are on our way to healing, to improving and becoming uh, emotionally healthy, emotionally mature individual. And so that will make us thoughtful, forgiving, flexible, and understanding of uh, diversity, imperfection, and adaptable. When that happens, we are able to form secure bonding, and in a secure state. Instead of saying, hey, look at me, allow me to be, validate me, we say, see me, learn me, hold the space for me. Instead of saying, you are my world, you complete me, we say, you enhance who I am. Instead of denying myself and my needs in order to accommodate or receive love, um, we said, I work to improve myself, paying attention to my needs first. Why? Because if I don't love myself enough, I won't, if I don't love myself in a healthy way, I won't be able to love others in a healthy way as well. Okay? And so that is a reflection. The insecure bonding is a reflection of our past relationships. Secure bonding is a reflection of my freedom, my inner peace now. Okay? And so that's the difference in the relationships. Secure bonding provides us with or fosters a safe, consistent, steady relationship. An insecure bonding is usually characterized by chaotic, unpredictable, a roller coaster of emotional relationships. Okay? And when I said emotional intelligence, why is this important? What we mean by emotional intelligence is emotional intelligence is a construct of four factors. The first one is well-being, which is having positive evaluations as well of ourselves, as well as feelings of happiness and optimism. Okay, we are happy with ourselves. That's well-being. Well-being is not just being physically fit, it's about being happy with our own selves. The second factor is self-control, that includes the ability to regulate our own emotions and feelings, including stress, how we manage stress, and how we manage impulses that come from those feelings, those emotions, and that sense of overwhelmness when we feel so stressed out. The third factor is emotionality, that involves relationship skills and especially the, the ability to experience empathy, what it connects us at a deeper emotional level with our own feelings and emotions and those of others. And the last one is sociability, which includes the ability to communicate effectively and be able to form friendships, cultivate friendships, social networks. Okay, that's emotional intelligence. Why emotional intelligence is important in dating? Because it is going to help you to discern the difference of what's going on when you are feeling that intense attraction to for someone. Okay, what is called, for example, love at first sight.
And speaking of love at first sight, it's something that we really want to acknowledge because there is this idea that that's possible, right? When in reality, what we are feeling is possibly just a connection or spark. And it's really important to be able to get to know the person so that you're able to build a strong relationship with them, right? A strong foundation that you both be working towards in a relationship. And then it truly become true love. And one of the things about love at first sight is remember that when you first see someone, anyone, you're able to get so many different data points from that person, right? But those are all just observations that you're making. You don't know if they're reality or not. So as Kendra Sherry says, a quick glance can actually supply us with a lot of information, accurate or not. Studies have found, for example, that by taking a quick glance at a person's face, we can make a second decision as to whether or not they are trustworthy. But again, this is very much just an observation. You don't know if that is a reality for that person. So it's important to be able to get to know them more to be able to learn that about them.
And that is known as the halo effect. The halo effect is a type of cognitive bias in which our overall impression of a person influences how we feel and think about their character. And in dating, the main issue that in the vast majority of the studies done in researching about this halo effect is attraction. How attractive that the person that we are looking in the dating application or we meet, attractiveness tend to come or to influence us in such a way that we ended up adding more positive traits to that person, even though we don't know that person yet. See? And that's what is called a cognitive bias. Attractiveness in dating is the cognitive bias. And so that's why emotional intelligence is a key factor. So we're gonna be able to discern effectively when we are dating.
And there was a study done in 2017 that really reinforces that idea, right? The first look at someone is based on physical attraction. And it's not necessarily love, but it's really passion. So being able to see someone at first glance, being attracted to them. And also with that comes the idea of you being willing to be in a relationship. So combine that with passion, then you're easily able to fall into a relationship, but that doesn't mean that relationship will last. And so couples who fall in love at first sight may enter into a romantic relationship faster, but they don't have that foundation that would be there if you give it a little bit more time.
And this is important because Tina Tessina is a therapist that wrote the book Dr. Roman's Guide to Fall in Love Today. And she talks about the issue of chemistry. Chemistry is the rush. And this is what she says in her book. In all my years of counseling, I never found an adult client who didn't recognize chemistry, the feeling of being in love. Chemistry is the rush, the high, and that we experience when we get together with someone who mysteriously turns us on. It is possible to get turned on to someone who is not good for you. Every client I've seen who's ever been in a violent, addictive, or destructive relationship tells me they were very excited There was a lot of chemistry at the beginning. While chemistry is fun and a powerful motivator, it is not enough to guarantee that the other person will be good for you. And this is very important because understanding that there is chemistry, and chemistry not necessarily is good. It's just a rush. It is important to discern what is that you are experiencing. And even though we have science that backs our studies that back the idea that um, uh, love at first sight is more a myth than a reality, we need to recognize that there is a sense of mystery in all this, right? And love is also mystery. There is a component of mystery in here. And when we're talking about, for example, soulmates, and how is that two people come together and from the very first time, it's like you know that person from someplace else. It's like you knew that person from long time, and you start finding connections, a special connection with that person, right? And that's a mystery. But in that mystery, there's science also found two components. One is that we know as a soulmates, and the other one is twin flames, right? The soulmates are those two souls that encounter each other at the right time in their lives, where they feel linked in such a special way, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Twin flames is that strong chemical attraction that it goes deep in your soul, but is characterized because of the partners are, looking to for someone else to complete them. The twin flames is the idea that is a soul divided in these two people. And it's just one soul. And so they are looking for someone to complete them. And that type of relationship can be very intense. It goes deep into the soul, as I said, and it gives the impression that you are meant to be, but at the same time can be very toxic, very chaotic, and very volatile because of that. Okay, that's the difference with the soulmate, and we're gonna be talking more about that next session as well.
And when you are in that rush and you are in a relationship that's formed very quickly, there are things that could happen that you then cannot keep word for it. For example, you might say things that you don't mean, right? You might make promises that you're no longer able to keep once that chemistry and rush has gone away. You could dig yourself into a hole that's hard to get out. Arouse expectations you can't fulfill. And you might be trusting your feelings rather than the truth, right? You might be depending on that rush feeling instead of what you're actually seeing for that individual as who they are. And that can lead you to making wrong choices. And one of the things that it doesn't do, it doesn't allow you to grow that relationship, right? It doesn't give time for that relationship to grow in a healthy way. And so you keep looking for emotional thrills instead of building that foundation. And those emotional thrills can cause you to be in situations that you do not want to be. And it might make the relationship start feeling a little boring. And it also could be that you start spending too much time with that person. Right? You might start excluding your friends to be able to fill in that chemistry rush.
And this brings us to this point. Suzanne de Guest White says, if you can help falling in love, it may be a weakness, not a strength. Okay, and why? Because there is two issues here. One is what we are called anxious attachment style. And as I said, next session, we're going to be talking more about attachment styles, okay? And how each attachment style that we're going to see behaves in relationships. So it will help you to understand more about yourself and your approach in dating and that of the date that you are experiencing at that moment. So an anxious style in relationships is that deeply felt and almost addictive need to be in a relationship with someone. The need to be in love, contrary to the desire to be in love, reflects a pattern of anxious attachment. An anxious attachment is characterized by the inability to view oneself as whole. We need someone else to complete us, right? To be our better half of what is known like that. Um, Anxious individuals experience a great deal of insecurity in their connection to their partners, and love often live their lives with a strong fear of rejection due to the integral role that even a bad relationship plays in their sense of self. You complete me. Remember that in insecure bonding, right? Now, there is another factor here, and it's called hemophilia, which is the tendency to fall in love easily, quickly, and repetitively. It springs from the desire to be in love and to enjoy all the buzzing feeling, the boozy feelings that come from that feeling of mutual, intense, romantic, and sexual attraction. Hemophiliacs are capable of being in love with multiple people at once and tend not to be as picky about whom they choose to create a romantic bond. And that usually is very attractive to people in the cluster B in personality disorders category, um, but that is in the manual of the psychiatric disorders. Um, that means narcissism, sociopaths, psychopaths are attracted to that kind of people, and these kind of people are attracted to them. Bad people, or bad character people. Why? Because of the excitement. Even if the relationship is good or bad, is excitement in both extremes. Um, and so when people are simply love, being in love, will not recognize the red flags that their dates probably are showing. So it's a tendency to indiscriminate romantic attraction and can lead to unfortunate life outcomes. So how we heal from this, how we can turn things around. It's not is self-awareness, as we said before, and then boundaries and supportive, positive friendships. Remember the lesson from the trees that we talked about last week? Trees healing themselves that way. First, stopping the bleed, right? The sugars, the plant chemicals that when a wound has occurred. So they stop the bleeding and is setting boundaries. Why? Because otherwise the pest bugs will be attracted and the damage will be more and more and more, right? So boundaries is the protective factor. And then they start carrying over, right? So is how we surrounded ourselves by good friendships is what help us in our healing process. So what is the most important relationship then? How is that when we talk about good friendships, good relationships, and and engaging in healthy relationships in our dating life, what we're talking about? We're talking about here focusing on the most important relationship of all, that is a relationship with ourselves. Okay, and that may sound repetitive to you, but this is the cornerstone of your relationships. If we don't have a good relationship with ourselves, we won't be able to have a good relationship with other people. If we don't have a healthy relationship that includes with ourselves, that includes the trust, respect, acceptance, compassion, and good communication that we expect in our relationship with other people, then that won't happen either, because we tend to project what we lack. Okay, so we have to focus on ourselves and how to be in a good, healthy relationship with ourselves. The stronger your relationship is with yourself, the more likely you are to communicate your needs effectively to others and to find your relationships satisfying. Francis?
So what to do? Honestly, evaluate the areas in your life that need attention. It's exactly what Federico was saying, right? What is it that needs to be attended to? Practice self-compassion. Engage in meaningful self-care. What relieves your stress? What helps you makes you yourself feel better? Commit to one habit that you keep every day. It could be very small, it could be large, whatever you're able to do, but commit to it on a daily basis. And then practice meditation. Meditation is really helpful to ground yourself and to be able to process different things that may be coming up for you. And remember, you're worthy of love.
And this has been our session for today. And next week, we're going to be talking about what is your dating approach. And I want to remind you that registrations are open, so you still can share what you are learning here with others and invite others to register for them to participate as well in our webinar. Okay, we are half the way. We are in our fourth session. We have 4 more sessions to come, and we would like to see the numbers of participants increase. And I also want to challenge you on this. We've been talking about that the most important relationship of your life should be with yourself. Because if you are healthy, you're gonna have healthy relationships with the people around you and the people that you want in your life as your partner. So that means that you have to learn to prioritize yourself and the things that benefit you, your healing journey of healing, your journey of improving yourself. So make attending in person rather than waiting for the recording a priority. You know, make the priority of being in this webinar in person. That's a challenge for you. So that's one of the first steps that you can take in learning to prioritizing yourself. Okay, and paying attention to yourself is part of what you need to incorporate in your life, that is called self-care. All right. And if you have any questions after the session today, write to us at info-webinar@peaceoverviolence.org. And Helen, do we have questions? We have a few minutes to answer a few questions. So
Hi, Federico.
Hi,
I just only
Ellen.
had two questions. People were wondering if they could get previous recording sessions links. So I took down their names so we can look up in our file what their email address is. I did not ask for the email address in public. It's public chat. Everybody's visible. So we're going to look up a couple of names and send those individuals previous recording session links and some handouts. Other than that, we don't have any other questions.
That means that you have been responding questions there in the chat room, huh?
Yes,
Thank you.
you're
Thank you
welcome.
very much.
My pleasure.
Yeah, yeah. It has been a pleasure thus far to be part of this webinar series, and we are so grateful to Patty and Wendy and Omar and all those at Peace Over Violence that help us so much in putting together this idea. This is a very, very important topic. And the fact that we have almost 400 people registered for this webinar is an expression of that, of that interest. Um, so it's our commitment to our our communities, to and the people that we serve, our clients, to keep working on benefit uh, of them to get a quality of life that goes beyond trauma. Okay, that's our commitment. Anything else? No. Wow, that looks very different from the first session, right? In the first session, we were rushing to try to present everything as fast as possible. Now we are more, in the right pace, and so I'm very grateful to Francis and Helen for their help and their contribution. So if there's nothing else, so I'll see you all next week. Okay, so take care, and we'll send out the handout in a few minutes, and the recording will be ready on Monday. But as I said, the challenge, make a priority to attend in person this webinar. Okay,
Federico,
it's going to be a sign of self-care on your
yeah,
part.
we
Yes,
have
Helen.
one question that came in. If we have maybe 1 minute to see if we can answer this.
Sure.
We have a Mindy asking if there are any techniques to help keep hopes up that someday she may find herself in a healthy relationship. How do you inspire hope?
As I said, the hope comes the type of relationship that you want and the type of relationship that you want to reflect. If you reflect that you have a very healthy relationship with yourself, then you're going to be attracting people that are at the same level with you, that are emotionally intelligent, emotionally mature. So the best recommendation is work on yourself first. Become that person that you want to attract. Work on the issues of trust, self-compassion, um, and 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 that sense of you being happy with yourself. No need, not looking for validation from others, not looking for the approval from others, that the approval that you need from others, but everything you have to feel that you are enough, that you have the source in you of satisfaction, self-satisfaction. When you can achieve that, you're going to be attracting the right person. And as I said before, becoming the right person takes time. And that doesn't mean that you cannot date during, becoming the journey of becoming the right person. But you want to attract people that are also in that journey, that want also to improve themselves. Do you want people that are also hungry for becoming the right person, okay? And if you have issues with trauma, past adverse experiences, please look for a therapist that will help you, okay? Or call our agency to see if you qualify for our services. We have the phone numbers here before we close. You can call at 213-955-9090 or 626-584-6191 if you live in the Pasadena area or the San Gabriel Valley area. All right. Well, see you next week. Take care.